Welcome to the February 1st, 2012 meeting of the Lake Forest Building Review Board. I am Peggy Vignacchi, Chairman of the Building Review Board. At this time, I ask members of the board to introduce themselves, and we will do a roll call from Megan. Thank you.
Chairman Vignacchi.
Present.
Board Member Trey.
Present.
Board Member King.
Present.
Board Member Ruggles.
Present.
Board Member Dugan.
Present.
Board Member Black.
Present.
Board Member Claire is absent. Madam Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The board is here tonight to work together with all of you, property owners, architects, neighbors, and interested citizens, to continue the long tradition that allows Lake Forest residents and businesses to work together to preserve the qualities and the unique character that make Lake Forest a special community. We recognize the personal importance of each petitioner's request. Our goal is to respect the needs and desires of property owners while balancing the interests of the community as a whole to preserve and enhance its architectural character and landscape streetscapes. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Building Review Board, the types of projects that come before this board are those in which the property owners are requesting a variance to allow a home that is larger than permitted by the code, are seeking a demolition permit and approval of a replacement structure, or otherwise involve issues that could not fully be resolved by city staff. It is important to note that over 95% of building permits are issued by the city without the need for any board review. Thus, the board typically deals with the most challenging and sometimes controversial projects. The City of Lake Forest is committed to conducting open and fair meetings. To achieve that goal, the board has adopted meeting procedures, and all parties will be provided an opportunity to speak. These procedures are outlined on the agendas available at the back of the room. This meeting is also broadcast on cable television. Speaking on behalf of the entire board and city staff, our objective is to provide a review process that is thorough, fair, and without unnecessary delay. The first item on our agenda is an executive session. The board will go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
It is for the pending litigation that has to
For
be
pending
specific.
litigation.
Thank you.
All in favor?
There should be a roll call vote.
Okay. All roll call vote?
Chairman Vignacchi.
Aye.
Board Member Trey.
Aye.
Board Member King.
Aye.
Board Member Ruggles.
Aye.
Board Member Dugan.
Aye.
Board Member Black.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. We go back down.
For those in the audience, the board will be going into executive session and will return shortly. Thank you for your patience.
All right, thank you, everybody. We have returned to regular session. While we did a roll call, why don't we have our board members reintroduce themselves, please?
Michael Black.
Maddie Dugan, Third Ward.
Stuart Trey, Second Ward.
Monica Ruggles, First Ward.
Charlie King.
And I'm Peggy Vignacchi, Second Ward. At this time, we will looking for approval of our meeting minutes from our December 7th, 2011 meeting. We had all received the draft, but we hadn't all had a chance to review them at our last meeting, so I presume we have all had a chance. Is that correct? Okay. Do we have any changes or notes regarding the meeting minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve the December 7, 2011 meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion is passed. And now we have our January 4th, 2012 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes or notes for those meeting minutes? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the January 4th, 2012 meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written for the January 4th, 2012 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, the motion is passed. The next item on the agenda is a code amendment, the consideration of amendments to Chapter 9 of the City Code, Architectural and Site Design Review, as recommended by the city attorney and relating to approval procedures. The presentation will be by Kathy or Megan. Would you please introduce our guest, Kathy?
City Attorney Victor Filippini is here to present this item.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
Madam Chair, members of the board. There was a recent Illinois decision in which the treatment of design review boards, such as your own, has been addressed, and as a result of that, there is benefit for the city to convert the approach from a what I'll call a quasi-judicial or adjudicative approach, which we have now, to a legislative approach. The net effect of this is that the building review board's actions and the resulting city council actions will parallel those of our zoning board of appeals. What our zoning board of appeals currently does is hear all of the applications, make recommendations and detailed findings, which are then presented to the city council ultimately for action by ordinance. We are going to recommend, and we are recommending in the draft before you, that the building review board have a similar approach, that you will, as you do now, hear applications, conduct the review and make detailed recommendations and findings, but at the end of the day, yours will be a recommendation for the city council that the council will then act on by ordinance. Again, this is consistent with recent judicial decisions, and it's for this reason that we're bringing this forward for your consideration tonight. It will be going to the council for its consideration and action as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Filippini. Do we have any questions from the board?
No.
If there are no questions, it would be appropriate for a motion to recommend action in whatever fashion you deem appropriate.
Okay.
A motion that this board approves the code amendment as you just explained it? Is that what you're looking for?
That'd be appropriate.
I'll make a motion that we approve the code amendment as explained by Mr. Filippini.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Filippini.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a new petition, a request for approval of new signage and awnings for At Properties, a new real estate office to be located at 600 North Western Avenue. The owner is Thomas Koenig, tenant Jimmy Shannon from At Properties, representative is Nikki Mota from Sign Representative. Yes, please. Please introduce yourself and please use the microphone. Thank you.
Council members. Frank Lambert, South Water Signs, Elmhurst, Illinois, on behalf of Nikki.
You can also,
Mr. Lambert, you can use the podium microphone and the document camera for your presentation.
Hello. Everybody see the superimposed rendering?
yes, we're good,
Okay.
thank you.
We are, am I allowed to make our case, or?
Yeah, go ahead, you have
Okay.
time for your whole presentation.
We are willing to go within the parameters of the window opening, so lowering it, whatever amount that is. We're probably going to adjust the height of the awning to about 24 inches, and then we're not going to have it go to the left and to the right over the block part of the facade or the stone. The valance is 8 inches. We're going to have 4-inch copy on the front of the valance. That says that will read "at properties," and that'll be on both awnings to the left and to the right, part of the windows. Caribou Coffee next door has, on their valance and the sides of the awning, they actually have a copy that reads Caribou Coffee. So we're trying to at least get that out there, and we're willing to go 4 inches opposed to 6 inches. And we would also like to keep the actual cutout letters that are at properties at 36 inches above that opening. I don't know if that was part of this.
Do you have anything further?
No.
Okay.
Oh, that's all.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, actually, and we'll send over sketches that, that show the difference of everything to whomever. So
Okay,
we'll make
thank
the
you.
adjustments.
excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, we'll have city staff make their presentation on their report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Vignacchi. This request is before the board for approval of a wall sign above the door frame, as well as awnings with the company name written on the valance. This is a space that's currently under construction, will be occupied by At Properties. It's a real estate company moving to town. The staff report is separated into two sections, the discussion on the wall sign as well as discussion on the awning, so I'll separate my comments as well for clarity. At Properties has installed a mock-up at our request to really help understand some of the drawings that were submitted in your packet. I'm hoping that the majority of the board members were able to view the mock-up in preparation for tonight's meeting. I think it was important to actually see the letters up there and understand the relationship of the depth of the letter, the height of the letter, the size of the overall wall sign as it relates to the size of the facade. The Building Review Board is really looking at this to make sure that it fits in with our central business district character, that we don't oversign the facade for consistency's sake along the street. Let's see. I'd also like to point out that we have a design guideline in place for signage. With respect to pin-mounted letters, the design guidelines suggest that letters should be between 10 and 12 inches in height. I believe the at sign of the mock-up is 12 inches, and the letters then recede to the smaller letter. It may be appropriate to ask for some clarification on the size of the letters that are proposed. from the petitioner this evening, so that you can really understand what the signage will be on the building. After viewing the mock-up, the letters do appear small on that facade. It may be appropriate to ask some questions with respect to, you know, should the letters be larger on the facade? Should the sign be relocated to be on the timber above the door, perhaps a lighter color that contrasts with the wood timber above the door frame? Or even is the pin-mounted letter type signage appropriate for the facade? So I think those are the types of questions that the board can and should ask this evening of the petitioner to really get an understanding of what's proposed and what would be appropriate for the building. With respect to the awnings, staff really had limited information with respect to how the awnings would be constructed and applied to this building. It sounds like from the presentation by the petitioner that they are willing to adjust the design of the awnings to be more traditional, which was primarily the concern of staff in the report. Typically, awnings do not extend above the window frame or beyond the window frame in a horizontal manner. It may be appropriate to have a discussion this evening. If you feel that you can take a vote one way or the other, that would be fine. But I think in this case, it may be appropriate to continue the item and see some of the drawings come back based on your discussion. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Megan. At this time, we will take it to the board for any questions or clarifications to the petitioner or to staff.
I have a question for the petitioner. I went by Monday, and there was a black @ symbol up there, but the word properties wasn't anywhere near there or anything like that. So, but it will be something like the @ symbol and then properties, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the plan, okay. Was there, I think we got an email that, was there a paper drawing that was up there maybe Friday or Saturday and
A pattern of sort? That I do not know. This is really the first day I've ever looked at this. I'm doing this for Nikki Moda. I did drive by it earlier this evening. I did see the @ and
Yeah.
I think the PR or something was on the wall. And they looked like the actual cutout letters. So I don't know if they were up there for an example. But they looked about 12 inches, what we're proposing, so.
I guess yeah. On Monday, all I saw was the @ symbol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would just
Okay.
clarify that in an effort to represent what the sign would look like, we did not require that the entire sign be installed, but only a suggestion of what the sign would look like.
Okay.
Thank you.
In your presentation, were you suggesting that you're willing to change the awning to what staff has recommended, such that the awning would come in to align with the window edge and that the awning top would meet the top of the windows?
Yes. I mean, typically, we'll try to work with the building, so we'll go about 1 inch above the top and to the left and to the right, and that's what we'll fasten our clips.
So that's very similar to what the Caribou Coffee,
Very.
right,
Yes.
okay. And did you mentioned something with letter height 6 inches. Are you speaking about the letters that is actually in the skirt of the canopy, or?
Yeah, the skirt, the face part that you see is the valance, and that's where the copy is, copy being vinyl, being a logo, a name, a branding type thing. So yes, I think 4 inches is what, 3 or 4 inches is what's recommended by the village, so,
Okay.
and we're fine with that. So,
The copy is, that you're showing on the drawing here, at properties, on the awning, it's all uppercase or capped, and on the wall, it's all lowercase. Is that something that is intentional, or would you want to have those both be consistent?
we're gonna wanna keep them consistent, and to my understanding, the largest character height will be 4 inches. So, basically the @ symbol will be 4 inches. So, I do not know why that is wrong, what you see on the awnings.
Okay.
That is the wrong font, the wrong everything, the wrong branding, so, yeah. the new set that we'll send over will reflect the correct
Okay,
branding guidelines.
thank you.
You're welcome.
A question, is the color planning on being all black?
For the 1-inch letters on the building, yes.
Okay.
And then their at properties is flexible with a green or a brown for the awning fabric, a umbrella fabric that we're going to use.
I have a question for Megan. Are there other, shops around town that have both something up on the wall of the building and awning, name recognition like this would?
There are some buildings in town that do have wall sign as well as signage on the awnings. I would say in general, the character of the downtown is to minimize signage and to really not over-sign buildings, to maintain the character of our downtown. The Historic Preservation Commission did recently review the Caribou Coffee that's been mentioned this evening, a few doors down from this. And I think it's an example where maybe there is too much signage on a building. So I think we should look at that in the context of learning and making sure the character is preserved.
Thank you.
A question on the awnings. They're 3 foot high, is that right?
Correct.
And so now if you drop those down 1.5 feet to get down towards the top of the window, what happens with that awning? Is it,
I'm going to recommend maybe a 24-inch height, somewhere where they still get a lot of light to come through the windows. I think 36 is now going to be a little too much for the opening.
so that sidewalk height then gets reduced a little bit?
Right. I mean, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but minimally, we try to get like 8-foot clearance from the bottom of the awning to the sidewalk. That's 8 foot or 9 foot. It's pretty typical what you see in this area. So
do you foresee this projecting out as far as the 3 foot, or is it going to be a little bit tighter to the building?
a little tighter, maybe 24 inches projecting out of the building. So we're to kind of scale it down a little from 36 by 36 to 24 by 24. And maybe we'll even do like a 6-inch valance with the 4-inch copy. So, and then we'll definitely submit a new plan to you to give you that visual superimposed look.
Megan, I've got a couple questions on procedural issues. You said that Caribou was part of the historical side of things. Is this building part of that district or fall under their purview as well?
This building is actually just outside of the district. It is an old building, and one could consider it a historic building. It's just not within the bounds of our historic district. Therefore, the review of signage does fall on the building review board for approval.
And is there any, obviously we have a sign ordinance, but is there anything under that ordinance that covers the awnings at all?
Yes, there is a section of the sign ordinance that speaks to awnings, as well as in the design guidelines for signage.
And does it speak to having both the name of the business on the awning as well as over the door, or is it silent to that?
It's silent to that point, but there is an overall square footage, maximum square footage that's allowed, and the text on the awnings and the wall are part of that total square footage requirement.
And with this, this falls within it with the awnings text and the door text?
Based on a preliminary look at it, it does appear to meet the maximum requirements for square footage. We would certainly work with the petitioner as it comes in for permit to make sure that the size meets the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
To further that one, were you basing that on a 4-inch letter height on the valance? Because Mr. Lambert referred to 3 or 4 inches, and I believe the maximum is a 5-inch allowed.
I believe the recommendation that was noted in the staff report was for the petitioner to provide that information at the time of permit so that we could
Okay.
review it.
I mean,
So, Mr. Lambert, you were recommending, you were saying it was probably 4 or
Right.
6, but,
even at 4 or 6, it'd be less than, 1 square foot, so,
okay, but the
'cause
max.
the letters
I
will be-
believe 5 inches is the,
yeah, I mean,
is our design guideline.
well,
Regardless of the square footage of maximum height
Yeah,
of 5 inches.
well,
Maximum, right.
okay. That's fine. And then, so.
And I would just add that the 4-inch, between 3 and 4-inch letters is pretty typical within the central business district for the height of awnings.
Okay.
I think there are some that are much larger, and I think the more recent ones that have been approved were at 4 inches.
Okay, thank you.
Is the wall sign illuminated at all?
Not illuminated,
Are there any plans to illuminate it?
not at this time. Like add gooseneck lamps above or some external illumination. Yeah, not at this time.
Oh, okay.
With lowering those awnings 1.5 feet, does the at property sign above the door, is that still relate, do you think, bringing those awnings down, or would that need to come down as well?
Well, we were still hoping to get the letters above the door. We were still hoping to get them at 3 feet above that header or whatever that dimension is to the door. We were hoping to keep that.
Could you further explain what that 3-foot dimension is? What you're, 3 foot from what? I'm sorry, I can't see it quite very
Right.
clearly in this photo. You're measuring 3 feet from,
It looks like it's 3 feet from the top of the window.
it looks to me like it's 3 feet from the bottom of the valance. Or is it top of window? I can't tell.
There's a
Yeah.
wood timber above the door.
Well, it's on this. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's below the wood timber. It looks like from this rendering here that it's either the top of the window or the bottom of the awning. Probably the bottom of the awning. I think the top of the window probably goes to that timber.
So you're hoping to maintain that 3
Main-
feet?
Maintain that. Yes.
Just on the awnings what would be the negative of not having the awnings?
Awnings add a little character to the building. It does get their name out there a little more. And it does block in sunlight from the morning sunlight or whatever. I'm not sure, that's facing the lakeside, so that'd be the
East.
east. So it just, we like to see them on there. I don't think it's gonna take away from the building. And around town here, this is the second time I've ever been in your village. Most businesses do have an awning, so it's not taken away from the, if we work within the parameters of, what we were just talked about earlier about making them a little smaller and fit in the window, it's not gonna take away from the character of the building. And since we don't have illumination, we like to we have nothing illuminating the sign above. We like to kind of get our name out there.
And I'm sorry, would you please state again, someone on the board here, I believe, asked about the coloring, and it was going to be all one color, or just the pin sign?
It's gonna be, they'll be black, satin finish, probably, black letters.
So at and properties
Yes,
will be?
and properties, so the face of the letter and the return, the side of the letter will be all black,
Okay.
or semi-gloss probably.
And the letters on the awning would be white.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
For the pin sign, the at symbol is 12 inches. What is the size of the lettering? Do you happen to know?
I apologize for this not being on the drawing, but they look around 7.5, 8 inches for the lowercase p, somewhere around that. So, and we tallied that 4.75 square feet from a boxed figure around the whole sign. So that's how we got the 4.75 square feet. So the next drawing that we show will reflect the dimensions of the lowercase characters.
Question for staff. Megan, that sign, as he is presenting it, meets the square foot area of the ordinance as it's written, does it not?
It appears to. Staff has requested that additional information be provided to clarify that. The way that the square footage is determined is by a percentage of the square footage of the full facade, or a certain square footage, whichever is less. So I think we still need to do some technical review of this petition, but as it appears, it looks as though it does meet the
Okay.
criteria.
But that is something that the staff would review before a permit is issued. Okay.
And we will tally up all the square feet too, for all three. Give you a breakdown on it.
Megan, were you recommending the awnings be removed just based on the size?
The recommendation to eliminate the awnings was purely based on the design that's proposed this evening. I think awnings could be appropriate if they're designed appropriately, minimize with the either elimination of the text on the awnings, or make sure that the letters are sized appropriately, and really make sure that the addition of the awnings doesn't detract from the architecture of the building.
Would the awnings, as the petitioner has explained, will be reduced in size, that would take away your objection to the awnings? Am I correct?
With respect to reducing the size, the design guidelines does speak to that, the projection of an awning and the height above the sidewalk. So we could work with them to make sure that the awning, as modified, does meet those design standards. The main concern was the overlap over the wall face and the windows,
Right.
Especially given the height of those windows on that facade.
I tend to agree with the petitioner with the nature of the other buildings. Majority of them do have awnings, and I think it adds a little bit to the whole package myself, other than when the winds start tearing them up.
No. No, it's the way you fasten them on the wall.
Do we have any other questions?
These are permanent awnings, they don't roll up or anything like that.
Did not roll up, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any further questions from the
No.
board? No. Okay. This time we would allow any public testimony. Seeing none, we will, since no public testimony, you're not gonna have a response, I believe. Do you have any final comments, Mr. Lambert?
No, I mean, we'll just send
Okay.
revised drawings and we'll keep an 8-foot clearance from the grade to the bottom of the awning. After this council meeting, I'm gonna go over there and just take some other measurements and we'll send this over as soon as possible.
Great. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
At this time, do we have any final questions, any additional questions? Okay, then we will take it to discussion amongst the board.
I'll start off. I appreciate your offer to shrink everything and to get it off the building and get it back in off the sidewalk a little bit. I think that's all great. But I think it's too much logo to have it on both the building and the awnings. And I guess I would suggest that it just be on the building and not on the awnings, but the awnings could stay as long as they're smaller, the way you described them.
Yeah, I think the @ symbol starts to look logo, and we don't typically allow that like that, but I don't have a problem with it on the valance of the awnings. We have a fair number of places that have that, and I think it's a nice identifier, so I would tend to say the awnings before the wall. Yeah, I just,
Yeah, one place or the other,
right,
but
right.
not both.
I
Thank you.
agree.
As I recall, there are quite a few buildings that do have both wall signs and awning signs. Am I mistaken? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't feel it's an obtrusive logo / sign, and I don't know. I would tend to not try to restrict it to one or the other. I would allow both.
That's fair. Yeah, there definitely are a few, there are places that have both,
Right.
and as long as it's within the requirements of the square footage.
Yeah, and as long as everything is within the ordinances, I think he should be allowed to do it.
Okay.
I think if the awnings are, sized appropriately to the windows, I think that'll be a nice improvement and be consistent with the other building on the street, the Caribou Coffee. And to have the signage on the ad properties on the awning and the wall, I think is consistent with the street, so I really don't have an issue with that. I think that part of Western Avenue, to attract, the customers and pedestrians going by, to have a little bit more signage than what we'd have in Market Square is more appropriate, so I wouldn't have a problem with it on both.
I'm curious, above the door, the feedback from the rest of the board members, it seems like that sign is awfully high above the door, that 3 feet. That's the one thing that strikes me, that perhaps moving that down a little bit, because it really kind of sticks out. There's so much contrast with that white background. It's really right in your face. I do like the fact that we're shrinking the awnings. All things being equal, I would like to see no additional lettering on the awnings. I think just a nice, clean one sign above the door would be preferable in my opinion.
I'm in agreement with Charlie. I do think that sign above the door seems like it might be a little bit too high, especially when the awnings drop down. And my preference would be to have less signage if possible. Don't need, maybe not have 3 signs across the front of the building if we could avoid it.
No, we would definitely get another drawing back in front of the board that has everything accurately presented.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Do we want to take action on that then, asking them to resubmit, to continue, or put it on a consent?
How soon are they planning on opening up? I mean, if we asked them to bring it back to us, is that going to conflict with their opening dates, or?
I do not know when their opening is.
Megan, do you know?
Excuse me, they've been doing a significant amount of interior work, and it's been taking a while. I think when we originally approved the special use permit, they had planned to be open months ago, but it seems like their project has grown in scope. So my sense is they're not looking at being ready to open immediately. If they did open sooner than your next meeting, we could certainly work with them on some temporary signage. We've done that with other businesses in the past.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm just getting the sense we don't all have a strong opinion altogether right now, because we're not seeing it all as what would be a approved final product, so.
Yeah, it might be nice to see 2 options, one without the lettering on the awnings, and one with the correct text size, font, et cetera, color scheme.
Color, yeah, and lowering it, like Mike suggested.
Yeah, that's, I guess, one thing maybe we can agree. Do people like the ad properties on the door coming down a little bit, 6 inches, a foot? I mean, is there any consensus, any feel that people have for that?
I feel it's up too high. I'm not sure how much it should come down, but
Well, it's at 3 feet from the bottom of the valance now.
but if you look at the other buildings downtown, most of them are right above the door. Most of them are on a wood
Yeah, a header sign,
header, right above the door. So this is probably 2 feet higher than the other ones.
Yeah, and when we talked about, in the past, we've talked about your line of sight and where you're looking, typically it's pedestrian or car on a parallel traffic. Typically lower is better. I think we can think about that too. But yeah, I like the idea of recommending it to be a little lower.
How long, I mean, I understand that they may not be in a huge rush to get this done, but we always like to be considerate of the petitioner. How long would it take you to actually put this in place after we say yes or no?
Within about 3.5 to 4 weeks for us to get this furnished and installed.
Okay, so it
So-
would be another month after next month's meeting.
And we can lower also the ad properties down. I think we should show you something not reflected in the 3 feet, but something from the header. That way, we'll scale it like that. That way, it makes a little more sense if we're 12 inches from the top of the header opposed to unknown.
Right,
Right.
right.
I think we should
And
do
take a
that.
look at the, the other signs around town that are in that area. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think maybe bring it back to us with proper drawings and in scale and in proportion and
Okay, I think that's
the
fair.
smaller size awnings and.
Okay. Based on each of those items, would someone care to make a motion to continue it?
I'll try. I'd move that we continue this petition, and that we would like to have the petitioner bring back new drawings with the at properties wall sign lowered, the reduced size of the awnings, with and, maybe with and without at properties on the awnings so we can see it both ways. And maybe have the color for the wall sign be what it's going to be, and also the color of the awnings be reflected in your pictures, whether you're gonna do green or brown.
Yeah, I think they're on there. It's very hard to tell what they are. They're very dark.
Okay, well, your
Yeah,
petition said green or brown, and I think you
oh,
should
yes.
decide and.
Okay.
Yeah, well, if you weren't
We're
willing,
in the middle of a
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yes, sorry, we're in the middle of a motion.
Oh, that's fine. They are reflected as green, so that's.
So I move that the petitioner come back to us with revised drawings reflecting
Each of
the
those
changes that we have requested.
items. Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion to continue this petition has been approved. Thank you very much. Thanks for
you.
your time.
Thank you. Will you be sending something to show the date and everything for next month? Or is there, am I coming back to an appearance
Yeah,
review?
it will come, city
Okay.
staff can
Wonderful.
take
Okay.
care of that for you, yes.
Thank you, Council. Have a
Thank
night.
you for your time this
Thank you.
evening. Next item on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the board on any non-agenda items. Seeing, hearing none, we can move. Now we have additional information from staff. I believe we have another schedule change. The floating Lake Forest Day.
Yes, exactly. Lake Forest Day, we did learn from the American Legion, is back on the first Wednesday, which
Yay.
means we've pushed your meeting to the first Thursday. So that's the only change, and it'll be appropriate for you just to re-adopt the meeting schedule.
Excellent. Does anyone make a motion to adopt our meeting schedule as proposed this evening?
I'll make a motion to adopt the revised meeting schedule.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. Thank you. Any other items? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. I never use this, but.